The Furnace Golems were an enemy that was featured predominantly in both trailers for Shadow of the Erdtree. And the first time we entered the Land of Shadow, we were all forced to grapple with the question, do I fight this thing? Truly, the Furnace Golem at the beginning of the DLC served the same purpose as the Tree Sentinel from the base game. No matter how accustomed to FromSoft games we were, that enemy was meant to humble us and remind us to play smart, and the Furnace Golem did the same thing. No matter how strong our journey through the lands between made us, this enemy will still destroy you until you learn how to fight it and gather some Shadow Tree fragments. No matter where we go in the Land of Shadow, there's always the chance that a Furnace Golem could be around the next bend, making us panic and reassess how we want to move through the area. An enemy this fearsome deserves to be explored, and that's what we're going to do. Today, we turn up the heat and feel the flames of the Furnace Golems. Speaking of heat, do you have trouble getting to sleep if the room is too hot or too cold? Well, this week's sponsor, Manta Sleep, can help with both cooling and warming sleep masks. Manta Sleep offers a wide variety of comfortable, premium-feeling masks that will help you get a better night's sleep. From cooling and heating eye cup masks to my personal favorite, their weighted sleep mask, which provides a calming pressure around your face. You can choose from a variety of options to help you get the sleep you need. Every mask from Manta Sleep creates a comfortable 100% blackout while wearing them, so your sleep won't be disturbed by things like light pollution or a poorly placed window. Whether you want to be part of the pro-nap movement or just need a better night's sleep to feel energized for another day, Manta Sleep is here to help. So visit their website using the link in the description, or use the promo code STG10 for 10% off your purchase when you order. Thanks again to Manta Sleep for sponsoring the channel. And with that said, let's get back to these enormous constructs. The Furnace Golems stand over 100 feet tall, meaning that fighting each one is like taking on Godzilla himself. They're deadly both up close and from a distance, shooting their flames in our direction through their fireballs or spirals, and rending the very earth beneath our feet in fire. Intimidating would be the perfect word to describe these automatons, and it seems that was the exact intent behind their design. Each golem we defeat will drop a Furnace Golem visage, an extremely rare item that's only gathered from either fighting these enemies or coming across the corpses of those that no longer work. The item is described as a smaller imitation of the Furnace Golem's visage, exceedingly rare to find. A stone mask surrounded by curled horns, depicting the fell god of fire that haunts the sagas of the Hornsent. Apparently, the face carved into the Furnace Golems is specifically meant to strike fear into the hearts of the Hornsent. Also, as if to drive home the point further, just below the waist of these creatures, on each leg, you can see what looks to be a visage of the fire giants themselves. This is the only written indication that the denizens of the Land of Shadow see the fire giants as their sworn enemies. But it makes perfect sense when you consider that their society was built around their religious beliefs regarding the importance of spirits, and what fire could do to those spirits. The only item that can be crafted from the Furnace Golem visage is the hefty furnace pot, which is a capacious cracked pot imbued with a hex of the furnace. Throw at an enemy to create a whirlwind of flame. The furnace's flame burns away both body and soul. When impurity is thus expunged, one calls it cleansing. The Furnace Golems didn't just burn those it attacked, it cleansed them, destroying both their body and their soul, their spirit, the very thing that the Hornsent saw as divine. To add another layer of horror onto this idea, if we look inside the Furnace Golems, we can see that it isn't just enormous coals being burned behind their iron barbs, but the flesh of people. The smoldering flames of these golems thrive on the bodies of those it puts inside itself. As a Hornsent under siege by Messmer's forces, the visage of the fell god would be enough to strike fear into your heart. But the knowledge that your spirit could be burned away by the flames as well likely caused many to simply turn and run when these imposing figures made their way to the tower settlement under the command of Messmer the Impaler and his forces. There is the question of who built the Furnace Golems, and we actually have contradictory evidence showing us who their potential creators could be. Obviously, as they are massive constructs and use the visage of the fell god, you could assume that they were made by the giants, intending for them to cleanse the land before they were co-opted by the Golden Order. However, I don't believe this is the case. We learned from a Furnace Keeper's note that the golems will have some kind of reaction to being hit with the whirlwind flames of the hefty furnace pots. A note left presumably by a Furnace Keeper, containing admonitions regarding the furnace's proper use. Keep fire pots well and clear when the golem's furnace is ablaze, and never let me catch you with pots that produce flaming whirlwinds, for goodness sake. If we decide to do the exact opposite of what the Furnace Keeper is telling us in this note, we can see two possible outcomes. Those furnace golems that are already patrolling the Land of Shadow can actually be defeated by throwing one of these pots directly into their kiln. And some corpses of furnace golems can actually be reignited and brought back to life by these flames. All this to say, the flames of the hefty furnace pot can either give these constructs life or bring them death. By looking at the ingredients of these pots, we can find the flame's origin, and surprisingly, it's not the flames of the fell god. To make a hefty furnace pot, you need red flesh mushrooms, a furnace visage, an empty hefty cracked pot, and 2 embers of mesmer. This means that the flames ignited by the furnace golem's visage are actually mesmer's flames. The furnace golems were created by the Golden Order, and they operate using the flames of Marika's first son. It seems as though the Golden Order took what they learned warring with the fire giants and used it to create these golems and raise the Land of Shadow. This also means it's Mesmer's flames, not the flames of the fell god, that actually have the potential to burn away spirits as a whole. You may want to argue that the furnace golems can't have been created by the Golden Order, because if they were, why don't we find any in the base game? To which I say, why would we? These golems were created for the express purpose of burning the Land of Shadow down, and were conceived using Mesmer's flame. Marika would not want any trace of these golems in her Golden Land, as they only existed to fight under Mesmer, who she knew when sending to the Land of Shadow that she was going to abandon in order to protect the Erd Tree from yet another flame with the potential to burn it to the ground. There's another item type that each furnace golem drops that could contradict the idea that they were created by the Golden Order: the crystal tears. While these tears are typically described as being created by the sap of the Erd Tree, the ones found from killing furnace golems actually specify they are crystal tears formed slowly over the ages, where the scattered sap of the Shadow Tree pools deep within the furnace golems. So if they're made from the sap of the Shadow Tree, they must originate from the Land of Shadow, right? I don't believe this is the case, as the sap of the Shadow Tree doesn't seem to be intrinsically linked to the creation of the golems themselves. Rather, this sap either fell into them as they wandered the land, or was held by those added to their corpse piles within their furnace-like bodies. From here, the tears fed on the souls and corpses burning away within, just as the Erd Tree feeds on the corpses and souls buried beneath the lands between. Basically, the tears are a byproduct of the furnace golems, and did not exist during their initial creation. The furnace golems were conceived for the express purpose of raining flame down across the Land of Shadow, and burning the home of the Hornsent to the ground. By using Mesmer's flame to power these massive structures, Marika brought the terror of the fire giants to the doorstep of the people who subjugated the shamans and tortured them through their religious practices. She placed these massive automatons under her son's command, and sent them along to destroy all they could with swirling flame, burning not only the homeland of her oppressors, but destroying the very spirits they worshipped. Then, without a second thought, she sealed them away, so that they could never become a threat to her own rule. The Erd Tree would be safe from the weapons she created. Her son's flame would be contained to the Land of Shadow, and never again would they pass back into the lands between. Thank you for joining me for this exploration of the Furnace Golems, the enormous enemies that greet us as we enter the Land of Shadow. What did you think of our breakdown of their history? Do you believe the furnace golems were created in the lands between and sent to the land of shadow? Or were they constructed in secret beneath the shadow tree? They are brought to life by a mixture of the visage of the fell god and Mesmer's flame. So whose flame is more prominent? The fell god's or Mesmer's? Did you search the land destroying these monstrosities and gathering their crystal tears? Or do you simply stay out of their way? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Watch that button light up as I ask you to like this video. And if you think we've earned it, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss out on any of our lore dives. We look forward to seeing you again for more Elden Lore.